Welcome to Type 1 Parenting Episode 2. What's up, Dylan?
Not a lot, really.
Are you feeling good?
Kind of.
Kind of, huh? So, New Year's Eve, we went to a concert.
I wanted to get my dad a Christmas present, and one of his favorite bands were coming to town. Less than Jake, me being 14, didn't have the money to buy him a ticket. We know one of the singers. When I was a kid, we went to the Warped Tour and he held me. I texted him on Facebook and asked him if we could have some tickets on Christmas Day. He texted me and said that our names were on the list.
Right before the Lillingtons got on stage, I was checking Dylan's blood sugar on the Dexcom. We were talking about diabetes. This guy gets in the middle of the conversation, and when I look to the side, the guy is telling Dylan,
"Come here, let me tell you a secret."
that he does not need to listen to me. He said that his mother had type 2 diabetes, and because of that, he knew a lot about diabetes.
Okay, now give me a fist bump.
I got into the conversation and I tried to educate him. I told him type 1 diabetes is a completely different animal than type 2 diabetes. He said that he was able to prevent getting diabetes because whenever his mother was diagnosed, he started eating right, he started going to the gym. He told Dylan that he should do that.
So make sure to eat your vegetables, run a lot, get involved in sports, just scared.
He actually told my older daughter, who was at the concert with us, that she should do that too.
Idiot.
I try to tell him again, type 1 diabetes is not the same thing. Type 1 diabetes is genetic. There was nothing that Dylan could have done to prevent. At some point I look at Dylan, and Dylan, who is already a small kid,
Really scared.
he looked like even smaller.
I didn't know what to say.
He was uncomfortable with the guy.
He just started asking about skateboarding.
If Dylan was a skateboarder, and skateboarding would help a lot.
He yelled at me, "Have you ever played Skate 3?
Then I got really upset.
They started getting closer and closer and closer to each other,
I put Dylan behind me,
and I could see the spit.
and I told the guy to walk away.
He would literally push my dad out of the way.
I told him that he could not talk to my son.
Talking about something he didn't understand,
The guy told me that I couldn't prohibit him from talking to my son.
telling us that we were wrong on what we do every single day.
He is my son, he is 11 years old, and you are not allowed to talk to him. Educating didn't help.
He would just keep on talking.
I needed the guy to walk away from Dylan. I have never been so angry with someone in my whole entire life. Not my proudest moment.
We ended up in the mosh pit.
When Dylan was in elementary school, he got type 1 diabetes.
Before I had diabetes at the school that I went to, it was really good. After I got type 1 diabetes, felt like they excluded me a lot.
And they had a nurse. She was very nice. She knew nothing about type 1 diabetes.
My dad, he deals with me every day.
We had a meeting with the district nurse.
The school would not listen to him.
Set up the plan together with the Barbara Davis Center.
They would go strictly by the book.
They would not take care of any low or high unless he was on the window in between 80 and 120.
He knows what he was doing.
So if he was above 120, even if he had 2 arrows up on the Dexcom, they would not do anything. They would only treat that when he was at 250 or 300.
However many meetings went on, none of them were actually followed through.
I decided to move him to a new school.
Halloween.
So I get this call from school, and they're asking me to come to dose Dylan for his diabetes.
Your dad said he couldn't make it.
I told them I couldn't leave work.
You're just gonna have to put all your food in the bag and then eat it when you get home.
I told them, check the carbs and enter in his pump.
Everybody's all going to get their food, and I'm just sitting at my desk watching everybody eat cookies, cupcakes, drinking juice.
They wouldn't do it. They said there was too much sugar.
I was hungry. There was a party going on and I wasn't allowed to party. My mom had to get included.
Caesar was struggling to get the nurse to participate with the aide, to educate the aide in what needed to happen for my son to have a healthy day at school.
She got really mad with the school.
As a parent, we have to advocate for our child. I had to educate of the Colorado regulation. These are the regulations put forward by the state that you are supposed to be following for my son.
Well, Jenny got pretty upset.
I had to go to the school level and talk to the medical aide. She stopped taking my phone calls. Try to contact the nurse. She sent me a nasty email.
The district nurse calls me. She was not happy with that email.
Told the principal, I'm actually not going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to the district office. If my child dies in your care, I will sue you, because these are the regulations put forward by the state that you are supposed to be following for my son. I contacted Barbara Davis Center, got all of the information, the care plan that the school was supposed to be following. I went through that with a personnel from the district office who informed me that they were not a medical professional and didn't know what I was talking about. Well, according to the standards of care for diabetic management, it didn't matter that they didn't care. Legally, they have an obligation to children who have type 1 diabetes to take care of them, to educate their staff, teachers, and the nurse to what is going on with a child who has type 1 diabetes. All of these people are supposed to know how to care for my son.
But at that point, Jenny and I were fed up.
We had to put him into a school that had a nurse.
The school would not take care of him properly.
And we had to make sure that the nurse, teachers, principal really understood and loved and cared for our son. You, as a parent, you're the only advocate your child has. You are keeping them alive, and you are keeping them healthy, and you are keeping them happy, and you love them. So make sure that you're putting them in a situation that is good for them. And if it's not, call the district office, write a nasty email, yell at whoever you have to yell at, because they will ignore your 11-year-old son, put him aside as much as they can, unless you are screaming at the top of your lungs for them.
So the truth of the matter is that type 1 diabetes is a mystery to most of us. I know it was a mystery to me. Because it's a mystery, there's not a lot of knowledge about it. So we get people telling us all the time what we are doing is wrong. The food that we are giving is not the correct one. If he had not eaten as much sugar, he would be fine. At least he doesn't have cancer.
They say that I have to avoid sugar, like everything, and I could only have salads and stuff, basically.
The truth of the matter, nothing that we could have done would have prevented Dylan from having type 1 diabetes. Secondly, because of the lack of knowledge, schools, they are thrown in a position where they are completely unprepared. There's so much liability issues. They're scared that they're gonna get sued because something happened to a kid. They just follow the book, and that creates a problem. Please remember to subscribe to our channel. I think it's here.
It's over here, Dad.
No, I think it's here. And we are also on?
We're on Type 1 Parenting, Twitter, Instagram.
Okay, see you next week.
My Bob is my hero.